What I'm about to say is something that most of us gentlemen have probably heard at some point before, but it never feels awesome to hear. The phrase that I'm talking about is, I don't think you hear what I'm saying. I don't think you're really listening. After numerous conversations that have resulted in frustration and sometimes even confusion, I knew it was probably a good time to start to dive into what does it actually mean to be a better listener. Now, in relationships, us fellas have a lot in common here. We as men, we just want to fix problems. That's what a lot of us do. You come to us with a problem and we want to help you find a solution. But the thing is, that's not always what someone is looking for when they come to you with a problem. Whether it be dating, marriage, your significant other, this even works with your friendships and your professional business relationships. Just think about this. Anytime someone comes to you with a problem, they are undoubtedly looking for one thing. They are looking for you to listen. You don't need to provide any answers. You don't need to give any advice. You don't even need to give your opinion. Now, it's a lot easier said than done. But the moment that they ask for your help or your advice, then you've received an invitation to further the discussion and help towards resolving the problem. It all becomes obvious if you take a step back and look at it all from a distance. Now, there are 3 things to consider when it comes to being a better listener in really any of your relationships and leaving the conversation feeling more productive and with a sense of resolution. First, get to know where they're coming from. Without question, the first thing to understand is that when someone comes at you with a problem, they generally have this sense of trust in you. So with that trust, you've got to be pretty careful in handling this delicate information. In this article that I was recently checking out on Psychology Today, it states that for some people, sharing helps let go of the pain. For others, talking to someone else drives self-reflection. Both are viable solutions that help the person work on the problem themselves. So we know that you can't make someone do something. So if they can start to work through the problem themselves, that's the most effective way to resolve it. Now, like I mentioned, us as men, we always want to fix the problem. We always want to solve it. But if there is not a sense of trust and this massive sense of comfort, any advice that you give is not going to be well received. It's just simply not going to be heard. One of the best ways to continue building trust with someone is to let them talk and look for points in the conversation that you can learn or educate yourself. This skill alone is invaluable. It's actually a very transferable skills from sales. In sales, the name of the game is to build rapport with someone so they'll eventually buy your product. And one of the best ways to build rapport with someone is to let them talk about themselves and look where you can fill a need. Listen to what their problems are and see if what you have is a good fit. You always hear it from people that the best salesmen are the best listeners. They know what to look for when someone is speaking about their problems or what they're going through, and they can better align with the person as far as if they can be of any value to that person. Now, I'm not telling you to try to be a salesman in your relationships, but you get the idea. You want to learn about the person, see what their problem is, and try to learn everything about that particular issue. Ask genuine questions that will help you better learn the situation, because the more you know about the situation, the more you can feel the need and potentially offer good advice. The second thing to consider when it comes to being a better listener is to keep your emotions in check. It's far too easy to let your emotions get involved in a conversation, especially if it's someone close to you, like your significant other. For a second, think back to the last time your significant other came up to you with a problem or an issue, and think about how you responded. Did you respond quickly with a resolution like, well, did you try this? Or did you give out some unsolicited advice? I know I have, and it was never received, ever. It ends up getting me frustrated now because I thought I was helping, and she's frustrated because I simply didn't listen. Or in other words, hear what she was saying and leave it at that. It sounds a little odd, but doing your best to remove your emotions a little bit and just let the person speak, it actually helps you out a little bit because it creates this better sense of flow in the conversation. And to be honest, it's a lot easier on you. All you have to do is just really listen and hear what they're saying. Instead of going straight to solutions and problem solving, try something a little less invasive and more surface level. Instead, just try listening to the conversation and going at it as if it's completely unknown. You're just trying to fill in the facts and get all the details. You're trying to get all the components of this problem or issue before creating some type of solution. Now, the third thing to consider when it comes to being a better listener is to approach scenarios with an open mind. I know in the past, when I was approached with a problem or an issue, I would go straight to decision-making mode instantly. And I still do in certain scenarios, like a business decision or something that needs to be done much quicker. But with personal relationships, it can sometimes be a little tricky and quite a bit different. We talked about trust being a very critical component in these personal relationships that you have, but there are so many other components. But one of the biggest is something that I've had to work on a lot lately, and that's having empathy, or really understanding someone's feelings, where they're coming from. That being said, to actually listen to what someone's saying is to heighten your sense of empathy. This is something that I have struggled with quite a bit because I often make decisions very fast. I use the logical side of my brain to go straight from A to B, and I don't put emotions into it a lot. And sometimes in your personal relationships, you need to have a little bit of emotion when you're talking through things like a problem with your significant other. It really helps to see where the other person is coming from, and it makes things a ton easier if you can get that understanding. I've also noticed that when I do make these quick decisions towards a resolution, when someone comes at me with a problem, it just sounds more of me imposing my perspective rather than giving them a chance to feel understood. If you can come to the conversation with the open mind like that of a student, you're going to have a lot more success in all of your conversations and start to build a lot more trust. So I'm no expert on relationships, I promise you that. But I've been on the receiving end of this "you're not listening" argument before, and I've had to learn some of these tactics, and I've seen so many of these translate or transfer to other areas of my life. I'm talking about my relationship with my wife, but also my business relationships and my friendships. Now, the next time someone comes at you with a problem, take a quick second, hold your tongue, start to learn about the situation a little bit. You might surprise yourself with how much trust you build.